This is Talk Business and Politics with Roby Brock.
And welcome to the program. As always, we appreciate you tuning in. It's been a busy week for one of Arkansas's congressmen, but all of that action did not happen in Washington, D.C. I'm joined by 2nd District Congressman French Hill. As always, pleasure to have you with us.
Great to be with you, Roby. Thanks.
Let's begin with presidential politics. This week, Donald Trump secured the GOP nomination for president.
Right.
You proud to have him as the Republican standard bearer?
Well, he's our standard bearer, and I think it's important for the Republican Party to work on our platform and work with him as the nominee and come across and talk to the American people about what we would do in the Congress if we have the House and the Senate and the presidency. What changes would we make for faster economic growth, for a foreign policy, for a national security policy and a homeland security policy. And I'm looking forward in the coming weeks to hearing more of Donald Trump's ideas and also let him hear some of the ideas that we've been working on in Congress.
I'm not sure I heard an answer to my question. Are you proud to have him as the Republican standard bearer?
Well, he is our standard bearer, and I will support his election because I think Trump is a business guy. I think that's what attracts a lot of voters to Trump, is that he has this business background and that is sending a message to Washington to try things in a different direction policy-wise. And so I think the House and Senate will be in a very important position to try to come up with the best economic and national security policies that we can with his leadership.
Are you worried about the level of politics that we have the potential to see between a Hillary Clinton, Bernie Sanders, or Donald Trump matchup here?
Well, I think all presidential contests are NFL sports. So I don't think it'll be any different than it has been in the past. It'll be intense, and it'll be a major campaign for the fall.
Let's shift gears and talk about your recent trip to San Diego. You made I think the third trip. To look at some of the border security, border issues that are out there. You said in a statement that you put out that this trip to San Diego was the most eye-opening of the three that you've been on so far. What was so eye-opening?
Well, first of all, it reinforced to me that when you have a large no-man land and a high fence with technology, lighting and infrared and digital camera systems, that you drop interdictions down dramatically. And so that was one thing that was reconfirmed for me. I saw that in El Paso as well. The troubling thing on this trip for me was the hundreds of people in line with no documents trying to walk across the border into the U.S. at the customs checkpoint, claiming credible fear of returning to their home country. There were Haitians, Romanians, Central Americans. I heard stories from the Border Patrol agents, Nepalese, Bangladeshis, Pakistanis, all who are claiming credible fear, and that gets them into the bureaucracy of our detention system.
So what's the solution? I mean, you're implying that those were excuses, perhaps.
Well, I think from listening to the Border Patrol and the customs people, the people have flown into Mexico with a passport, but they present themselves at the American border with no identification documents, claiming that they are a person's name and a person's country and a birth date. They're fingerprinted and photographed. But we have documents of Saudi Arabian driver's licenses that have been found in the trash can. We have people getting off planes in Tijuana who they find their diplomatic passports in the trash can at the airport. So I think some of it is an excuse. And I think the Obama administration needs to be very diligent in how they do those interviews for asylum seekers. We don't know who's coming into this country at these border checkpoints. Once they're photographed and fingerprinted, they're set up and given a notice to appear for a deportation hearing in the future. 85% of the people don't show up.
And you think the interview screening process is the best place to weed that out, or is there is there an earlier place in the process to build some sort of security?
Under our current law, I think that's where you have to do it. My concern is that we don't have a place for these people. They're not held in good conditions in those early days before they have the interview and go on to their family member in the country that they've given information to the immigration officials on. So it's concerning to me. I walked away from this trip disturbed by that, and that our policy is not good and that we need to do more there. Border Patrol agents suggested to me, how about a DNA swab machine at the border to check genetic connection between adult and child, for example, to make sure they really are a family unit. Do better interview process. Find a way to hold these people in the right way to ascertain that to the best possible, should they be deported immediately or should they in fact have an appeal before a federal judge.
All right, we're going to take a quick commercial break. We're going to talk about some other topics when we come back. We're with Congressman French Hill. I'm Roby Brock. We're back after this. And welcome back. We're with Congressman French Hill. Congressman, we were talking about border security before the break. Let's talk about health care. We have seen some rising insurance rate proposals in Arkansas, 14 to 23%. You put out a statement basically showing that this shows what happens when there's not good consumer choice out here. I would argue there's 4 or 5 plans in the insurance exchange here in Arkansas. That sounds like quite a bit of consumer choice to me.
Yeah, there's good choice compared to some states on the number of people participating, but don't forget they're underwriting against the Obamacare, Affordable Care Act prescriptions in terms of what has to be covered. I think that drives up price, and I think we do need to have a reform of the act and look for ways to really make it more affordable. And so that's going to be my focus with a new president and a new Congress, is to focus what can we do to move forward and make it truly more affordable, because these kind of high rates are pernicious across this country.
Yeah, and I think that I do think that one of the messages for Republicans, and I would just ask kind of for your take on this, is there's been this concept of let's repeal and replace, but there has not been any kind of coalescing around a particular plan to replace it with. So there's been ideas thrown out there, there's been concepts, but don't you think it's kind of incumbent upon the Republican leadership to say, here's our alternative to Obamacare?
Yeah, 3 comments on that. One, I do expect the Republican nominee for president should put out his own plan on this. I thought that was a point when we had 17 candidates. I thought they should all outline their personal plan. And then in Congress, we have a couple of proposals out. One that I worked on was with the Republican Study Committee, but I know our Speaker, Paul Ryan, has the Ways and Means Committee working on one to come around with a template for this summer before the convention that is an outline of what the Republicans in the House, for example, might propose to work with the next president.
Let's talk about the VA, the passage of a new Appropriations Act that's got some revisions in it that you had advocated for. Is this going to clean up some of the problems at the VA, do you think? I know one of the things is more paperless efficiency, so to perhaps maybe cut down on some of that wait time. But that's not going to stop somebody from lying about wait time, is it?
Right. So in benefits processing, a lot of that's gone paperless now, and I think that is going to speed up a review of people's benefits certification. But we're talking about here, and the reason for the IG study and the reason for a lot of anger across the country is where people have just acted unethically, whether you've got a paper-based system or an electrical or an electronic record system. So that's what we've got to get at the heart of, is the management issue, and that's why I support the VA Accountability Act, which removes bad actors.
Last question for you. We got a little under 60 seconds here. You were on a workforce tour on Friday, I believe, before Memorial Day weekend here. Where'd you go? What'd you do?
Congressman Brenda Lawrence from the Detroit area and I were here. I did Detroit a few weeks ago. We went to Dassault Falcon Jet. We went to Maverick Transportation. And we were up at the outstanding program that ASU-BB has with the John Deere Company, all looking at ways to get people the skills they need to have a great career here in Arkansas.
All right. Nobody gets to Detroit, does Detroit. Is that what you called it? Doing Detroit. We did Detroit.
We did Detroit. We enjoyed it. We did Detroit Edison, and we went to the hospital to see their radiation tech program. It was great.
All right. Congressman Hill, thank you as always. Appreciate you.